Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Wanted to start out by saying that since it is Sunday, happy July 4th to everyone. If you're one of those that has tomorrow off, congratulations on your 3-day weekend. And if you're one of those that got Friday off as well, even bigger congratulations on your 4-day weekend. Have fun today, but be safe as always. And then I wanted to go ahead and say that today's video is just going to be random sports topics. And the reason why I say that is because if you follow the channel, you know that I try to bounce around and cover all major sports and try to skip around every day so that we don't spend too much time on one certain sport so that all sports fans can watch the channel. But when I do football videos, I try to talk about football stuff. When I do baseball videos, I try to talk about baseball stuff, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of topics that I have not yet mentioned because I do a video about a certain sport, and then the next day an article or a story will come out about that sport, and I just covered it, so I don't want to do it again. And I don't want to bring up football in a baseball video or bring up NASCAR in a basketball video, anything like that. So today we're just going to bounce around and talk about some things going on overall in the sports world. First, wanted to start out by saying that if you have not heard yet from the wrestling world, Dale Wilkes, who was better known as the Patriot from 1988 to 1998, passed away late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning in his sleep, 59 years old, and the cause of death was a heart attack. So thoughts and prayers to the family of the Patriot, better known as Dale Wilkes, who left us too soon, 59 years old, this past Wednesday night into Thursday morning in his sleep. The cause of death was a heart attack. And then from the world of college baseball, I'm not going to spend a whole long time on this because you know by now I don't like to cover the politics and all that kind of good stuff from sports. I just like to stick with what's going on the field. But I did want to say congratulations to the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They just won their first championship in any sport in program history by winning the College World Series. It went all 3 games. They lost game 1 to Vanderbilt, but won games 2 and 3. And the reason why I say I don't want to spend much time on it is because a lot of people, in fact most people, feel like the best team was taken out of the tournament by the NCAA because the NCAA is in bed with the SEC, and they didn't want to see a team not in the SEC take down basically that whole conference by themselves. So they were forced out when they only had 2 sick players, and they still had plenty enough players to compete, but were not allowed to. But we'll never know because when you're forced to exit the tournament, of course, there's going to be some that will say they would have won, some that will say they wouldn't have won. We'll really never know. But congratulations to Mississippi State for winning their first ever championship in any sport by winning the College World Series this past Wednesday night in the 3rd and final game against the Commodores of Vanderbilt. And while we're on the subject of baseball, we'll talk a little bit about Major League Baseball. I don't want to talk a whole lot about the series. I'll wait until I do my Braves review for the week later on this week. But the Braves and Marlins are playing right now. And again, on Friday night, Ronald Acuna got hit by the first pitch of a game by a Marlins pitcher. It happens repeatedly, and it's childish. It's always been my biggest complaint about Major League Baseball is there's too many times where players just hit another player because he's good, or they just hit another player because he beat them in a previous game in a final at bat, or they just hit another team's player because this team hit their player 6 months ago. And that reminds me so much of middle school and high school brother and sister fighting, saying, he started it, she started it. That's always been my biggest complaint with Major League Baseball, is this stuff just never goes, and it's nonsense that it just never ceases to go away, and it just goes on and on and on for no good reason. All it does is lead to injuries, because somewhere down the line a pitcher's going to throw a pitch and he's going to miss his spot and he's going to hit somebody and they're going to get hurt. And not only that, but eventually it leads to suspensions and fines, and then your best players are suspended because of childish stuff. And you can tell it was intentional. And Don Mattingly, after the game, didn't have anything to say about it. He tried to say that the Braves started it in 2018 when Mike Soroka intentionally hit Peter O'Brien, which, first of all, that was in 2019, not 2018. And if they were really mad about that, they would know exactly when it happened. Second of all, Peter O'Brien is trash. He was no good. That's why he's a journeyman that pretty much plays for anybody and everybody, because he can't find a spot on a major league roster because he can't play. If you're going to hit somebody, you're going to hit somebody that's good. You're not going to hit somebody intentionally that ain't worth a darn. That was just Don Mattingly trying to think of some reason for it to happen instead of just saying, we wanted to do it. But I'm surprised that it's happening, because Don Mattingly used to be called Donnie Baseball for years. He's old school, and I'm surprised that he's become a Bush League manager, which has turned the Marlins into being a Bush League baseball team. But also in the world of Major League Baseball, now once again, since they're struggling all of a sudden, there's talk going on that the Cubs might trade Chris Bryant and or Anthony Rizzo and or Javier Baez, so we'll have to stick around with the Major League Baseball trade deadline coming up at the end of the month to see if they make any trades. They got hot for a while. Now all of a sudden they're about 6 games back in the division, so they're struggling now. So all those trade talks are coming back up. And also, speaking of trades, the Phillies, who are just underperforming big time, which if you follow this channel, you know by now that I don't like Bryce Harper at all. And the Phillies are struggling the same reason why the Nationals struggled when they had Bryce Harper. They're struggling because they have Bryce Harper. But, of course, they're not going to trade him. But there is a lot of talk going on since the Phillies are below 500. And here we are at the midway point of the season, that Andrew McCutchen and Zach Wheeler and Gene Segura and Rhys Hoskins, any or all those guys could be traded if the Phillies don't turn their season around between now and the trade deadline on July the 31st. The only 2 guys they won't trade are Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto. They won't trade Bryce Harper because the long contract he got with the amount of money he makes, there's just no way they do that. And they won't trade Realmuto because it's hard to find a catcher that can hit and play good defense. So those 2 guys are safe, but anybody else on that team could be traded. They might even trade their ace pitcher, Aaron Nola. I don't think they will, but it is a possibility. And also, this past Thursday, July the 1st, the name, image, and likeness started for college football. I personally don't like it. I understand it, but I don't like it. But there's a rumor going around that Kirby Smart said, you mean now I can pay players and I ain't got to hide it? But I'm just waiting to see when an offensive lineman is going to complain, because these players are getting paid, for their name, for their pictures, for their jersey sales, any of that stuff. But outside of family members, nobody goes to a game to see an offensive lineman. Nobody is going to buy the jersey of an offensive lineman. So I'm just waiting to see, when they're going to start complaining that they're missing out on their part of the money. But for all the people that love video games, EA Sports can now put, a quarterback or receiver or running back, anything, on the cover of their game, and that player will now get money from EA Sports for using his photograph on their cover. So we'll see how that turns out. That took effect on Thursday, July the 1st, and new Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer is already in trouble, and he hasn't already coached a game yet. But he was fined $100,000 by the NFL, and they're saying it's for violations of OTA workouts. But they have not been specific on exactly what the violations were. But he's already been fined $100,000 and has not yet coached a game in the NFL. But $100,000 to Urban Meyer, in the grand scheme of things, is probably not that much money. But hopefully he'll learn his lesson from this. And I want to go ahead and say that this week's Top 10 Countdown, of course, I do one every single Wednesday. And this week's Top 10 Countdown is another fan request. And I'm pretty sure it's from my friend Eric. If I'm wrong, he'll let me know. But I'm pretty sure it's from him. But somebody asked me to do Top 10 all-time college football blowouts. And of course, if you're just a casual college football fan, you know what the biggest all-time blowout is. And there'll never be a blowout like that game. So we already know what number 1 is, but what are the other 9? Do you know? We'll find out on Wednesday. And I even told Eric, I'm pretty sure it was Eric, that I would just wait until college football season, and then during college football season, one of the Wednesdays, my Top 10 Countdown would be Top 10 all-time biggest blowouts. And I thought, you know what? College football is now less than 60 days away. So just about anybody, everybody who likes college football is now in the mood. So I thought I'll just go ahead and I'll do it. So this week's Top 10 Countdown will be Top 10 biggest all-time college football blowouts. So if you have any thoughts on that, please feel free to go ahead and let me know about that. Those are just some of the things that are happening right now in the world of sports. And last but not least, in case you have not heard yet, the Milwaukee Bucks, my Bucks, beat the Hawks last night 118-107. So they won Game 5 by 11 points, and they won Game 6 by 11 points. So they're now going to play the Phoenix Suns, and the NBA Finals, I believe, will start on Tuesday night. This is the Milwaukee Bucks' first trip to the Finals since 1974, and it's the Suns' first trip to the Finals since 1993. Both teams have been to the Finals twice. The Bucks have won one and lost one, and the Suns have never won an NBA championship. So if the Bucks win, it'll be their second one. If the Suns win, it'll be their first one. I personally think that's good. Unless you're a fan of somebody else, of course, you think it's bad. But if you're just a fan overall of basketball, you know, you never want to see the same teams every single year. So I think it's good that you've got two teams who have not played in the NBA Finals in a long time, and one team who has never won a championship playing for the NBA Finals. And it almost makes you wonder if the Hawks would have been better off last night not playing Trae Young, because Lou Williams was a lot more effective in Game 5 than Trae Young was last night. Now, I know he's your best player. You want to play him. He got cleared to play, but you could see that he just was not anywhere close to 100%. I would say he might have been 65%. Maybe. He had no jumping ability, no leaping ability. He couldn't hardly run. I mean, he looked bad. So it almost makes you wonder if they were better off just letting Lou Williams play and letting Trae Young sit. But the Bucks did say that if the Hawks would have won last night, Giannis would have came back and played in Game 7. So if that's true, he should be available Tuesday night when the NBA Finals starts. But is he going to play like Trae Young at 65%, or is he going to be 100%? We won't know until the series starts. Of course, he'll have to play if the Bucks have any shot of winning. They have no chance at all of winning if Giannis does not play. Now, it was a great series between the Bucks and the Hawks. It could have been even better if you would have had a healthy Giannis and a healthy Trae Young. It may have even gone 7 games. But Game 6 last night Trae Young was bad, and then Herder, who was probably their most consistent shooter, started out like 0 for 8 or 0 for 9, something like that. Cam Reddish had to come off the bench, and I think he made 7 threes and got the Hawks within striking distance. But it was just too little, too late, because when Trae Young ain't scoring and Herder ain't scoring, the Hawks just don't have enough. Now, of course, the Hawks franchise, since they've become the Hawks in Atlanta, has never been to the NBA Finals, so it would have been good to see them make it as well. If they get one more superstar, I think they've got a shot. They're still a young team, but they rely too much on Trae Young. But they're going to be good for years to come, because Trae Young and Cam Reddish and Herder and Collins, all those guys are 25 years and younger. So they're going to be good for a long time, but they do need one more superstar to go along with Trae Young, so they ain't got to rely on Trae Young to do something almost every single time down the court, because, as I said in my NBA talk the other day, when Trae Young starts getting on fire, it's actually a bad thing, because once he gets to half court, he wants to shoot. So they need somebody else that can take the ball out of Trae Young's hands and hope he stops taking shots like that. But let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day. Did you know Bruce Lee has a faster, older brother? Sudden Lee. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.